Hi, Jane here. Welcome back. This week I want to talk to you about time management. Now, wait a minute, don't go away. Lots of people are just freaked out over those words, and I think our responses to them kind of fall into three categories. You're either, no, I'm not doing it and don't talk to me about it, or yes, I do it and I really love it and it's so wonderful, or I know I should do something because I'm not as productive as I want to be, but really, I don't know what to do. Most answers fall somewhere within that range of one of those three. So I want to talk about time management as it relates to improving a writer's productivity. I think writers can be a little bit loose in their discipline sometimes because we like to follow the inspiration when it comes, and sometimes you'll drop everything and just write and write and write and write and write, and it may not be targeted writing. It may not be what you need to be writing. It may be inspiration for a different project, but it doesn't have a deadline on it, and the one that you should be writing is due in 3 days. So we get into trouble that way. And I think most people who write a lot, especially people who write for a living and that are serious writers, it's an issue sometimes. So I want to talk about that this week. So stay with me. First point, it's kind of like a question to you. So what's your problem? I think all of us battle some combination of several different issues, maybe juggling projects. I'm pulling up my own experience here, plus clients that I work with. Juggling projects and never getting something completed on time. You just always got something going on, but you're never moving any of them forward toward goal the way you need to. Or flitting from one thing to the next, like I just mentioned. You get an idea and you just start writing on it. It's a great idea, but it may not be the most effective thing for you to take 4 days and just that's all you do. Who knows, but that can happen to us. I think setting unrealistic expectations of yourself and your work. I fell into that when I started this blog back in the winter of this year. It's just more work than what you think it's going to be. And I find that most writing projects are like that. They just simply have more involved in them than what you expect when you start. And so putting false expectations on that can really defeat you because you get discouraged, you get frustrated, and so there goes productivity. What's that? I mean, you totally lose track of that. And on the other side of it, you can be so rigid that you kind of refuse to follow a creative flow when it does come, and it does come appropriately sometimes. But we'll get off to where, oh, well, I've got to stop this and I've got to go do that. The balance in there. It is a balancing act, and you only know what the balance is. But you have to be aware of it in order to catch yourself. Or we can, I have to talk about multitasking. And I think it is very true that it is humanly impossible, virtually, to effectively do two things at once. However, if you want to define multitasking is having more than one project working at a time, then yes, I think you can. And I've actually kind of found my own effective pathway through that. But I don't sit here and write like, as a real strong example, write one sentence on this client's project and then go over to my ebook and write a paragraph there and then go back and forth. No, and you'll see how I manage that later. But we can get bogged down trying to do too many things at once and end up not doing anything at once, and that stops us. These are the battles that writers fight, I think. So take a minute and figure out, where are you in this mix? Does any of this, what parts of this, I know some of it describes you, where are you in it? What are your weaknesses? We all have them. And part of improving productivity is recognizing our weaknesses and then bringing strength to them to change up our results. So okay, so I know what my problem is now. What's the answer? Well, I've come up with 9, I'm just calling them tips, that I've learned with myself, with working with clients through the years, that just really are effective. So I wish I had a magic wand. I just wave it over you and boom, it would all be, everything would be wonderful, and you get every project done with ease, without any interruptions, without any conflicts at all. But I have to find some other way to do it. So that isn't going to work. So let's run through these 9 tips real quick. Not going to keep you a long time today. This is really common sense things when you stop and look at it. The first one, well, it's not even the tip really. It's just, the first thing you have to do before any of the tips will work is accept the fact that you have a bit of a struggle with time management, and that you're not being as productive as you really know that you can be or that you want to be. Recognizing that is number 1. Related to that is, I want you to drop your war, if you will, with time. We're not supposed to fight time. We're supposed to control time. And part of that is learning what things in our lives we do have control over, what things we don't have control over, knowing the difference, and, dominating what we can and dealing with what we can't change. So this will bring a fresh intention to your writing, because it does away with that big stressor of, you're sitting there writing and trying to write, trying to be creative, and in the background you're hearing tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and you're so aware that time is going by. That's what I mean by we need to control our time, and you can do that. We can all do that. So these tips are basically going to help you to grab control of your time and increase your productivity. Number 1, figure out what are your personal time wasters. What gets in your way? It can be all kinds of things. I mean, we have so many distractions today in our lives. Maybe you get hung up in email or phone calls or social media. Social media is just an amazing thing. I can sit down and think, I'm just going to post something to Facebook and jump off. And an hour later, I think, oh, I was just going to post something and jump off. And you just get caught up in it. And I'm not even a big social media person. I just go there because I need to, basically. But it's a big distraction. And maybe that's your big thing. Figure out what your personal time wasters are. Make a list. Get serious with this. If you're writing seriously and you're wanting to improve and you're wanting to grow, maybe you're wanting to start writing for clients, or maybe you already are, or you're doing something like that and you're struggling in it. Get serious about it. Let's take it to the next level. Determine what your time destroyers are. Recognizing them is so helpful in getting rid of them. Number 2, sort your tasks. Well, let's finish up with distractions first. Let's call number 2 getting rid of all the distractions. Now, we're not talking about getting rid of everything for a whole 24-hour day. We're talking about the space of your writing session. If you write for 2 hours, if you write for 4 hours, if you write for 4 hours, you need to break it up, and we'll talk about that later. You need breaks in there. But for a 2-hour period of time, a 1 or 2 hour period, you should be able to stop all of your distractions. Even if you have to make deals with your kids or your pets or your spouse or your best friend, Make an appointment. They would not be distracting you if you were sitting in a doctor's office. It's a matter of intention. It's a matter of the degree of importance and value that we put on our writing sessions. So bear that in mind. Clear out your distractions. Get rid of them. Then come in and number 3, sort your tasks. What do I mean by that? I mean put like things with like things. As if you were sorting laundry. You know, maybe you've got shirts and you've got pants or jeans and you've got socks. You know, you just put like things with like things and then you process those like things together. For me, mine basically falls into 3 categories. I have my administrative tasks, I have my own web-related things, and then I have client-related tasks. And so I break up my day. For me, I do the best, I'm most effective by getting my admin stuff out of the way first thing in the morning. So it doesn't take very long because I don't have tons of it, but I just do that first thing. I run through email. Now I may check my email several times a day, but I don't live with my email dinging me all the time. But I'll check and see what's happened overnight. If there are bills to pay, I'll do that. If there's, you know, just those kinds of administrative things that just keep me going. So I get all those done. And then the rest of my day I break up into probably 2 larger sections. I work from home and I work virtually all day. So you may just work after your job and just have an hour or 2, but just using me as an example. Then the rest of my morning, depending on whether which group has the most pressing deadline, if there's something that's due up in my web-related things, then I'll do that in the morning while I'm fresher, and then I'll spend the afternoon or part of the afternoon on my client-related tasks. But I sort them and then I work in blocks like that. So I'm not bouncing from one area clear over to, you know, going from checking my email to trying to write something for a client or edit something, then back and forth. You know, I have all my admin finished. Then I go finish all of this group and then I finish all of that group. And I break it down to where it's doable within a day. I don't over book myself on a daily basis. So sort your tasks out and organize them. This is just very simple organization, and they're very simple steps, but they would just make such a huge difference for you. Number 4, you gotta have some goals. That's another word that everybody goes, oh, goals, I don't want to go there. Yes, you do. A goal is not a goal until you apply time to it. And you'll find, if you check my blog, you'll find a post that I did, and it talks about setting SMART goals. And SMART goals have time applied to them. Without that, if you don't have a goal, then you don't really know where you're going, and you don't know when you need to be there. Put that out into the natural. How could you ever plan a trip if you didn't know where you were going and you didn't know when you needed to be there? How are you going to know if you got there at the right place at the right time? You're lost. The same is true when you're trying to write without some goals. Now, you don't have to write big, heavy-duty, super detailed goals. I mean, if you're that kind of person, have at it. But to have some guidelines, involve deadlines where, especially if you're working with your own publisher of your books, or you've got deadlines within your project, or your client has deadlines. You know, if you've contracted with someone to edit their manuscript and have it finished by December 31st, then you need to plan your work so that before you get to that deadline, you've got that manuscript finished. You want to over-deliver. And so these are all parts of writing at this level. So it's not difficult, but it's necessary. The goals are mandatory in my world. You just have to have them. Tip number 5, break it up. I know sometimes I've been guilty of it. I'll get an idea, I'll get a free afternoon on a Saturday, and I'll sit there and write until I've written for hours. When I stand up, I have to stand there a minute before I can even walk. You know, I'm stiff, I'm thirsty, you know, it's stupid, but we all have done it from time to time, I'm sure. Break up your day. There's you can check out the post along with this video, and there's a link in there to um, a time, a little time sequencing uh, concept that works. It's just a little practice. It doesn't really cost you anything. I think the site that I've linked you to, they offer classes on it, but it's super simple. You can get the idea for it just looking at that page that I've linked. But it just helps you. You work in smaller pieces of time. You use a timer. We all have cell phones. They have a timer built into them. 25 minutes on, 5-minute break. 25 minutes on, 5-minute break. Do 4 of those, you take a 30-minute break. It keeps you refreshed, it keeps you going, and it keeps the ideas running. You're less drained. It's a super, super thing. Your 6th tip is to work from a daily list. Now, I use a planner. I always have for 30 years, so it's second nature to me. But have a daily task list. If it's just a scrap piece of paper and you write down what you need, my tasks for the day are organized. Admin, web-related, client-related. Under client-related, sometimes I have 2 or 3 clients going at one time, so I separate the tasks for the day according to their projects so that I know where I am. And then as I process my way through the day, I check those things off. Now, I'm not crazy wild about, oh, I've got to get everything checked off. But I don't check things off just so I can say, oh, I checked this off. I check them off because it's showing me every time I check one off as completed, I am moving that much closer to the goal. I set my goal. My goal is based on a deadline. And so I know that if I keep doing that, it's a guarantee for success. I'm going to get there and it's going to be a successful project. That's what you're after. So you can make that work in your situation just as well. You just take these concepts and work them into what your life looks like. The next one, work at the best times for you. In a perfect world, we would all have perfect schedules that just gave us everything, no interruptions, no distractions, and we could just get it done, boom, boom, boom. Well, none of us live there. So find out what times work best for you. Maybe you only have a couple of hours a day to write. I'm sure some of you do. So figure out, is it best to work when all of my friends and family are working? Is it best for me to write when they're not working? What works best for you? You need to be, I have posts about this too, you need to be writing daily. You need to be serious and write daily. Keep the flow going. So find the time that's going to be appropriate for you to do that, and then schedule yourself into that time slot and clear it out. Treat it like you would a doctor's appointment. You wouldn't not go because they're going to charge you if you don't show up or you don't call in. There's no calling in short of a real emergency. You need to show up and write. So find the best time for you and use that time slot. For me, my favorite time to write is after all my friends and family in other states have all gone to bed, and the phone stops ringing. The phone can really take up my time of an evening. So by 7, 8, 9 o'clock, it's over. So I love to write between 9 at night and like midnight. But I don't have to get up at 6 in the morning either. So find the time that works best for you. Number 8, do yourself a favor. I am serious about this. Celebrate every little victory that you experience. Every goal that you meet. If you've checked off everything legitimately on your list for the day and you've succeeded in moving yourself forward to that degree, celebrate that. Go do something. Whatever, go to a movie, have some popcorn, go get ice cream, have a bubble bath, whatever floats your boat, go do it. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself. If you've gone a whole week and every day you've checked off that list and you're just right on track, celebrate that. It's so encouraging to develop that sense of accomplishment in yourself. You'll never regret it. It is awesome. And the last one is wrap it up and track it. The last few minutes of your session, however long your session is, take just a minute to reorganize your stuff. You know, if you've pulled out a bunch of files or whatever, put them back. Check off everything that you've accomplished on your list for the day, and then track what you've done. That may be nothing more than just hanging on to your daily to-do list for a while, so that you can see the buildup of what you've accomplished. These are great tips for you. Time management does not have to be the big hairy monster that so many act like it is. Time management is your friend, and you can do this. So I hope this has helped you. Have a great week. Contact me if you need any help with anything with this or with writing, whatever. I'm here. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. God bless.